every day.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio. Welcome to your news at noon. I'm Kevin Smith, and these are the top stories we're tracking. It is unpatriotic for Guyana to be illegally paying Stabroek Block partners income taxes. PPPC must decide if it will stand with the country or oil companies, says Christopher Ram. GEA inspector caught in tape soliciting fuel deal for friend and was lobbying for a business without requisite license. Meanwhile, private investors or consortium for gas to shore project to assist in designing and financing power plant, etc. Meanwhile, government looking to buy long-range drone to help fight crime, and vendors slapped by thieves for warning victims. Meanwhile, GRA officer killed by landlord's son during eviction row, and 2 children drowned 1 hour apart. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Covid-19 testing sites in Region 4. Sunday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Herstelling, Paradise, and Umanayana. All COVID-19 protocols must be observed. You need a COVID-19 test if you are a close contact of someone who tested positive for COVID-19 and if you are showing symptoms of COVID-19. A message from the Ministry of Health. And now for the news in detail. Even though there are countries around the world which take on the burden of paying the income taxes of oil companies, it only occurs because the nation's laws allow for it. However, this is not the case in Guyana. According to the 2016 PSA governing the Stabroek Block, Guyana has agreed to pay the income taxes for ExxonMobil, Hess Corporation, and Sinnock Petroleum Guyana, even though the nation's laws do not allow for this to occur. Upon highlighting this major illegality in his recent writings, chartered accountant and attorney-at-law Christopher Rama categorically stated that the PPPC government must decide if it will stand on the side of the country or the oil companies. He stressed that it is unpatriotic for the country to be paying the taxes of these oil companies when the law makes no provision for this to occur. Ram therefore concluded that former Finance Minister Winston Jordan went beyond his powers to extend concessions to persons who do not hold licenses or agreements that are in agreement with the law of the land. In other news, despite no detailed financial or other studies being completed, the government of Guyana says it has finalized the Wales Development Zone as determination point for the pipeline from the Liza area in the Stabroek Block, offshore Guyana, and as such is seeking private investors or a consortium to be part of the project. This is according to an expression of interest or an EOI advertised by the Ministry of Natural Resources, which said that the invitation that it is calling for joint participation in the proposed gas to shore project with the government and ESSO. According to the advertised EOI, the government and ESSO are looking for partners in designing or utilizing the outputs from a natural gas liquids or liquefied petroleum gas facility and related facilities. This includes, according to the ministry, design, construction, and financing of a power plant fueled by natural gas, where the power will be delivered into GPL's distribution grid. And now let's tell you a senior fuel inspector attached to the Guyana Energy Agency has been caught on a taped recording directing a client looking to purchase a large quantity of fuel to not use his preferred choice. Instead, the inspector lobbied for the fuel to be purchased from another dealer. The dealer that was being recommended by the inspector, according to sources close to the transaction, does not have a license to import fuel nor sell. GEA, which has jurisdiction over the issuance of the different classes of fuel licenses used in Guyana, such as import, transport, and sales, has been recently embroiled in controversy over the issuance of fuel licenses to companies not meeting the legal requirements. In the recording, the inspector could be heard telling the potential client not to use the dealer he was negotiating with, but rather to use another dealer he would recommend instead. And troubling news, even as more individuals come forward to tell their stories of being brazenly robbed in the Starbrook Market area, some eyewitnesses have related that the bandits would also assault the vendors for warning potential victims. One eyewitness had pointed this out and added that the reason the vendors can't help is because the gang would return to deal with them. The eyewitness went on to say that they had seen a female vendor trying to signal a man that he was about to be robbed, but the would-be robber returned and slapped her 2 times. Other eyewitnesses said that robbers would also target and victimize the vendors if they tried to prevent such robberies from occurring. Agreeing with the eyewitnesses that vendors are forced to turn a blind eye to the brazen acts of robbery taking place in the area, 2 more victims decided to share their stories of being robbed in the presence of multiple onlookers. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. And moving on, an eviction row yesterday turned deadly when an enforcement officer of the GRA was stabbed by his landlord's 42-year-old son. 24-year-old Dwayne Daniel Tate was stabbed around just after midnight yesterday in the region of his chest. His alleged killer has since been arrested and is presently in police custody. According to police, on Sunday at around 17:30, Tate's landlord, Jacqueline Lemaison, told Tate and his wife that they have up to July 14th to move out of her Middleton Street, Camberville, Georgetown apartment. The couple was residing at the aforementioned address with their 2-year-old daughter. The police reported that Tate had opened the door and went outside to the suspect, who attacked him with a knife. The man then ran onto the street opposite the apartment, but the suspect chased after him and dealt him a stab to his chest. Tate collapsed and the suspect fled the scene with the murder weapon. It is now 12:16 in Guyana, and you're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
Public advisory. Commuters and marine operators are advised that the Berbice River Bridge will be closed for both vehicular and marine traffic to facilitate scheduled preventative maintenance works on the following days: Wednesday, 14th of July from 6:45 hours to 9:45 hours, and Wednesday, the 21st of July from 14:10 hours to 17:10 hours. The Berbice Bridge Company, Inc. apologizes for any inconveniences caused.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. The Guyana Police Force has invited suppliers to bid for the supply of long-range drones in order to improve its surveillance capabilities. According to the ministry, the bid documents for that and other purchases can be obtained at the Finance Department of the ministry. The bids, according to the advertisement, must be submitted no later than today, July 13th, to the chairman of the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board. It was noted that any bids exceeding $3 million must be accompanied with the relevant bid security documents. The administration's most recent purchase of drones for the security services had attracted controversy when it was discovered that the purchase had not only been made from a startup company, but was overpriced. And now let's tell you, 2 children are now dead after drowning Sunday evening, just a few hours apart at different locations. The first incident took place at the Hope Sea Walls along the east coast of Demerara between 16 hours and 16 hours 30. A police report stated that 10-year-old Anand Mangru, along with his 13-year-old brother Ajay and 8-year-old cousin Brian, were at the Hope Sea Wall swimming when a wave pushed the lad towards the Hope Coker Channel, causing him to go under. He did not resurface. The second incident occurred at Pottsville, Kokwani, along the Berbice River. Amanda Wells, the mother of 18-month-old Orinda August, had left the child at home in the company of her other 2 children, her 7-year-old son and her 15-year-old daughter, to attend a funeral. The 7-year-old had discovered the toddler lying head down in a bucket of water. According to police, foul play was not suspected. And now let's tell you, a Canadian oil exploration company operating in the Kanji block, Echo Atlantic, has had its application approved to issue more shares in the company to a private equity partner in order to raise several $1 million to pursue another well in the Kanji block. The news comes just days after announcing that its Debilo-1 well was unsuccessful and as such had to be abandoned and capped. Gil Halsman, co-founder and CEO of Echo Atlantic, noted that the move will provide Echo with additional funds for the JHI transaction and enables the second well on Kanji block, Sapote 1, and preserves enough cash for the drilling in the Orandu block. And moving on, the rollout of the second dose of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine will commence today. This was announced by Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during his COVID-19 update yesterday. After weeks of delay in the shipment of the batch of second dose, the minister stated that the doses have arrived in the country. Even though he did not state how many doses have arrived, Dr. Anthony noted that by next week another batch is slated to arrive. Since the duration to get administered a second dose of this vaccine is 4 to 12 weeks, persons who received their first dose of the Sputnik V vaccine back in April will be given first preference, the minister said. And now for a COVID-19 update. Yesterday, the Ministry of Health reported that 5 more persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. As a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 497. According to the ministry, the latest fatalities are that of a 91-year-old woman from Region 4 and 4 men, a 65-year-old from Region 10, a 67-year-old from Region 3, a 79-year-old and an 86-year-old, both from Region 4. 49 new cases were recorded, taking the national case toll to 21,002. 11 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 2 of which, according to Minister Anthony, are children. To date, a total of 19,100 persons have recovered from the virus. And just before we come to the end of today's news at noon, it's time for the page 7 of the Kaieteur News. While we are hopeful that President Irvin Ali has Guyana's best interests at heart, there are occasions that his utterances are worrisome. The latest was when he publicly praised the quote-unquote valuable and respectful relationship of the United States for Guyana. But he has got to be the Guyanese man from Mars to take a position like that, save for elections help. If it is that the US was really such a valuable relationship, then it would have jumped right in and pressed Exxon. Don't treat Guyana this way. It is embarrassing to the American ideal of fair play. Don't be this greedy, as it makes all Americans look like rip-off artists and gives business a bad name. But the US is not doing so. If the US was truly respectful of our oil dreams and aspirations, then it would work behind the scenes to get Exxon to make some concessions. But it has not. We hope that President Ali is not next going to say the same of Exxon, that it is a valuable and respectful relationship. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. Kevin Smith here. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur